All right, and we are live. We'll see if you look to the right of your screen, usually the comments will come up there. If you're on public comments, at the very top it says comments. And so the people who are watching will get to say hello and comment and that kind of stuff. I usually give them a couple minutes to filter in. Mm-hmm. Just check. I always have to check and make sure we're on because once in a while StreamYard. There's Danny. All right. Danny. Okay. Oh, I'm not on my channel. All right. Hi, Yaz. Okay. So we're on because I am interviewing Alice tonight. Hello, Alice.
Hi. Nice to be here.
Welcome. Nice to meet you. So Alice emailed me and told me about this deck that she has been working on that actually just went live on Indegogo, which is another crowdfunding kind of thing like Kickstarter. They've all of my squirrels here have also heard about Kickstarter a lot because that's like my main one where I usually go to support decks. But you are are you in Belgium?
I'm in Belgium, yeah. It's my time here.
Yes, it is. It is nighttime. So because you're in Belgium, Indegogo is a better platform for you crowdfunding wise, right?
Exactly. It's better for Europeans. I don't even know if Kickstarter allows Belgians to do projects. They're very US based. I haven't checked this time. My last campaign a few years back, they didn't allow Belgium. Maybe they changed it now, but I had so much, like I love Indegogo. I love how it looks. It's very nicely set up. So I chose Indegogo again.
Yay. Well, that's good. So that is one of the questions that I had was, is this your first campaign? It is not then.
No, it's my second campaign. Well, it's actually my third campaign, but my second campaign for a tarot deck.
Ah, so you have created tarot decks before?
Yes, I have created a Ghetto Tarot. And
oh, I love that deck. I don't have that one yet, but it's been on my list. That is such a beautifully made deck.
Thank you.
I did not know that was you. Now on Indegogo, does it work the same as Kickstarter as far as do they charge you after the campaign or do they charge you right away? I think there was a difference there.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty I think they charge you after the campaign, but I can't tell you. But I just know that if the campaign doesn't get funded, you definitely will get your money back. So I'm not 100% sure how that works. Sorry.
Right. All right. Well, hello everyone. Stephen came in. Deb, hi, honey. Mikey, hi, Mikey. So I will tell you guys before we continue here, I know everybody's been hearing about my my poison ivy, and I don't know, it's kind of getting better, I guess. It doesn't look a whole lot better. And of course I went out to see my mother today and she was like, oh, you have to go to the doctor because you're swelling up. I know. But I think it's getting a little better, but it's not great. So this deck is called The Gift of Life.
The Gift of Life Tarot, yes.
All right. Why don't you kind of introduce yourself and tell us what made you go with this project? What was your inspiration?
Okay, so my name is Alice Smeets. I'm from Belgium. I'm a photographer and artist and therapist and tarot deck creator. And this deck was created during the lockdown, actually, because with my therapy, I do retreats, and I had to cancel all the retreats because of lockdown. And yeah, but it was fine. I actually enjoyed. I was in Ibiza at the time. There was beautiful weather. We had a beautiful little outside place where we could hang out. So we were just relaxing. And usually what happens when I'm in a complete state of relaxation, I get an inspiration. And it was actually in the middle of the night that I like heard a voice say like, you need to create a new tarot deck, and you need to do it with all the photos you have taken in your life as a photographer. And I started out as a photographer in 2007, and I photographed for more than 10 years, 10, 13 years. And I am I'm also a creative photographer, but I have worked a lot as a photojournalist and documentary photographer, and I've like worked for magazines or newspapers like the New York Times or Geo magazine in Germany, or like international high quality newspapers. And I have worked during I have worked mainly being like a real observer. So all the photos in the deck are real life moments. None of them is staged. Not one single photo is staged. They were all just taken in the moment. And that's, I think is the beauty of this deck, is that these are real life moments. And I went through like thousands and thousands and thousands of photos I've taken throughout my career to find the perfect images that describe the archetypes and the scenes of the deck the best. And then
I'm a big fan. The photos that you've chosen are absolutely gorgeous. The ghetto deck that you did, I absolutely, I'm kind of famous for my Pinterest page. I have this huge rabbit hole of a Pinterest page, but one of my boards on there is Oracle and tarot cards that I absolutely love. And I know there's quite a few that are from the Ghetto Tarot. Just absolutely gorgeous. The images that really touch you and make you feel like you've seen these people, and how they live, and you've seen into who they are. Really, absolutely stunning photos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, do you read tarot?
Yes, I do read tarot since 2009. It was actually when I was working as a photojournalist. In 2008, I started a series about witchcraft in Europe and the US. Back then, I was an atheist. I was not spiritual at all. But I heard about these people who call themselves witches, and I thought, wow, this is very interesting. I want to learn more about that. And I started to attend witchcraft meetings, and they allowed me to photograph them. And so I traveled all around Europe and the US to photograph them. And that was actually the beginning of my spiritual path, because I saw, well, there is actually more in the universe. There's in 2009, I contacted a school in England if I could photograph their tarot and witchcraft weekend workshop, and they allowed me to. And at the same time, I could also attend the workshop, and they gave me tarot lessons. And so in 2009, I learned how to read the tarot, and it has been with me ever since. So I use it a lot, but I use it a lot for self-inquiry, because I'm a therapist and I love to do shadow work. So that's my favorite way to use the tarot, is like if I feel really stuck in life and I have a question I really can't answer, I use tarot to see like what is the root, like what is underneath, what do I need to untangle, what do I need to understand in the situation. That's my favorite way of using the tarot. So I do that a lot.
I agree. It's so hard to pinpoint. I've had students ask me, how does tarot work? I don't think any of us could say how it works. It just does. It just, I think personally, I think the energy that we have kind of connects to those cards, and it just pulls the ones that you need to see, and calls us out.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is like reading the tarot cards for people that don't believe in them, and then just having them like, okay, you don't believe in them, no problem, let's just try it out. and then showing them how amazingly these cards always match to what the situation that they're in, and they're usually really amazing.
I love that. I used to be in healthcare, and so people at the office in healthcare, I was a mammographer tech. And I would get lay people that came in and asked me for a reading, and just amazed. Oh my gosh, you're so good. And of course I'm like, it's not me. It's just the cards. You just read the cards that are given to you. But everyone is amazed, after they get the reading, no matter how skeptical they were before that. I don't know. I guess there's a couple people that are just determined to be skeptical and never going to change their minds. But for the most part, people really get it. Oh, so we have some questions here from people here. Mikey asks, Alice, what is your favorite type of photography?
Ooh. Well, I do really still love photojournalism, but that is mainly because I love just being the observer in somebody else's life, and I love the photos that like intimate moments that come out of such observations, and you become so close to the person and you stay with them for such a long time that they kind of forget that you're there, or you just become part of the scene, and so they forget you, and then you capture like really beautiful, intimate, real moments. So I really love that, but I also really love art photography. I love portraits. I think my favorite type of photography is like just a photo that tells you something, and that can be many different kind of photography. But if there's a story behind it, the photo tells a story, then I really love it. But I prefer photojournalism for me being able to travel the world and like becoming part of
all different kinds of people, and how exciting. Danny wants to know if the decks come in different languages. Are they in English? Are they in other languages?
So far they will be in English. I might do a German translation as a downloadable version because my native language is German. But because most people that buy my deck come from the US. I have noticed that with the Ghetto Tarot. I see it now we have already funded the campaign by 40%, and I can see where the people come from. Most of them are from the US. Some of them are from the UK, but very few people are from Germany or Belgium. And almost nobody
over here.
I can speak as well, but not so well that I could actually translate the whole book into French.
So do you have any of the photographs, or do you have a deck that you've made up, a mock deck that you've made up yet?
Yes, I don't have a full deck, but I have example cards. But unfortunately, the lighting is really bad here, so I don't know. The colors, I would really recommend, I can show you some, but I would recommend to go and see on the link because it's nighttime here and I don't have good lighting. The colors look very different, and then you have
right. Yeah. Definitely. I have put the link in the comments, so definitely follow the link to the campaign. But I know people would like to see. So if it's hard to read the bottom part, so if you could tell us which cards they are.
Yeah. So this is the Nine of Earth. So like the Nine of Pentacles, but I call it Earth. And this is a woman in Haiti, in a very rural part of Haiti, where I actually, from Port-au-Prince, I drove for 3 hours to get there. And then from there, I had to walk another 2 hours to get there. It's like so... Wow. She was in the middle of the countryside, but she was so happy and satisfied with her life. Like, she doesn't know anything about like our modern way of living. She is just has a very simple life.
Pluses that come along with that. Oh, that's beautiful.
And she is just radiating this beauty and this satisfaction with life. That's why I chose her for the 9 of Earth.
Beautiful.
Here we have a photo from the US, actually. Don't know how well you can see this. This is the High Priestess, and it was a witchcraft full moon gathering in Fort Lauderdale, where people came together and they danced around the fire, and this woman was just doing a really intuitive, beautiful dance. When I photographed her, you can see the full moon in the background.
Gorgeous.
And, yeah, you can. This card is a very dark card, so with this lighting, it's not the best lighting.
Understood.
This is one of my favorite cards. It's the Sun card. And this is a little boy in Panama, and it was on the San Blas Island in Panama, which are small islands that have fought against the government for a long time, because they wanted to keep their independence and they wanted to keep their indigenous traditions alive, and they have really managed to keep them alive until now. And so this is on a tiny island where you have like 400 inhabitants, and they live like a still very indigenous life. Some of these islands actually now are mainly living from tourists, but tourism, but this island particularly was not. So they only had like one guest room on the whole island, and that's where I was. And I just chose this image for the Sun card because for me, this little boy just radiates the joy of the Sun card. And it's not only that he has the innocence of a child, he also on top of that has the innocence of the indigenous culture. So it's
gorgeous.
Double.
Now I'm kind of called to ask this, and then I want to keep seeing the cards too, but to me, I think the best part of being able to travel, which I have really not, although I've traveled inside the US, but I have not been out of the country other than Canada and Mexico. But when you're traveling and you get to see these different cultures and stuff, do you think that, to me, I think the best part of that would be spiritual wise, to feel that connection, even though like there's no modernization there and stuff, they must connect spiritually to the same energy. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm saying it right, but do you feel like there is a connection between cultures and stuff when you go and take these beautiful photographs of these beautiful people inside and out? That spiritual connection, that we're all connected together, that, you know, the way of life, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, our modernization, that we lose some of that spiritual connection to earth and to.
Yeah, we definitely lose a lot. And these indigenous cultures, or like countries that are poorer, that have a way bigger spiritual connection than, you know, the average American or the average European. We have lost a lot of it, and it's really beautiful to be in these places and to observe and witness these people and connect to these people who are still like so in touch with their being and with spirit. And it's a real part of life for them.
Yes.
I have also on the deck some photos of the voodoo culture in Haiti, where I have been to lots of gatherings, and it's fascinating. And people there are so nice as well, like they're so welcoming. When in Haiti, sometimes people are a bit rough when they come together to celebrate the voodoo celebrations. They are just really kind and beautiful and welcoming to foreigners. So that's
wonderful,
really beautiful. I'm not sure, did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Someday I will travel more. So as you could keep showing some cards, but I do want to make sure we touch on what is happening with the money that you're raising from this stuff, because I think that's such a huge part of this that really made me fall in love with the idea itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm actually the president of an organization called Consciousness Rising. So it's me who started this organization in 2010 with 4 others. Back then it had a different name. It was called Vive Timoun because we were mainly working in Haiti. And it's a Haitian word. But now we have started working in other countries as well. And so we changed the name to Consciousness Rising because this is something that we want to bring to the world, is we want to lift the consciousness of the planet in many different ways. So we have many different projects. But what I would really like to do with the proceeds of this deck is something I would do anyway, even if if I didn't have this organization, is to buy a piece of land somewhere in the world. I don't know where yet, because that depends on the amount of money that comes together and like how big of land we can buy. I just want to buy land that has suffered through the hands of humans, because we have done a lot of damage to land all around the world, and this is one of the main reasons for climate change. I actually did a permaculture course in 2014 where you learn permaculture is a system where you learn to restore the natural ecosystem that once was there, that humans destroyed when they came in with monoculture and like deforestation. And you can very easily, it's not actually difficult, it just takes a few years to restore the natural ecosystem, and you can actually change the climate in regions. When you do it on a big scale, you can change the climate there. Like, people have done it in examples all around the world, and I find that so inspiring. There was this man who did it, and one of the worst places he could do it, it was in Indonesia, where there was one part of the Borneo island that was completely dry. It was prone to fires. It had the temperature was super high, and he just completely transformed it in 5 to 10 years into a huge forest, because he wanted to help orangutans to restore natural habitat for them, and he actually did it, and the whole climate in the region changed. And so when we're seeing the fires that are happening now in the US and in Australia, in Portugal, and is there are fires every year in Spain. And this is mainly because we have messed so much with the natural ecosystem. And I think the best thing we can do, as individuals or as groups, is to restore that ecosystem. And so that's what I would like to do with the proceeds of the deck, where 80% will go to a project like that.
That is great. How long is this campaign going on?
55 days, and we just started yesterday, so until the 13th of November.
Yay! And you said you're 40% already?
Yeah, but I have set the goal so that we just have the production costs covered. Now, once we go over, that's when we start raising money for the
big stuff.
Yeah. So I wish that we can get 100,000 or even 500,000 if I dream big, because I would.
Right. Absolutely. Put it out there. The universe is listening. Yes, absolutely. All right. Show some more cards for us. I know they were really loving the images that we saw are just stunning. They are really absolutely beautiful. I think you have a gift for sure of capturing people's, heart and soul.
Thank you. This is the Empress card. It was taken in Nepal during women's gathering. Women of all ages came together to discuss how they can move forward in their businesses and how they can protect children better. So I thought that was such a beautiful moment, so powerful. The divine feminine was so strong in this photo that I thought this would match the Empress card really well.
Beautiful.
And by the way, in the booklet that people get when they buy the deck, I will have a short explanation of where the cards were taken and the story behind it, because I think that's
beautiful. That was going to be my next question. Yes, because that's, I think, part of the allure is, you know, where you took the picture and who they are. That's awesome.
Here we have the Emperor.
Mm.
That was taken during Carnival in Haiti. And Haitian people are taking Carnival very to heart, very seriously. And they bring out the most beautiful costumes at Carnival. And even if people like are poor and have no money, they will get money together to get a really good costume. And yeah, I just think he is so beautiful with his costume, and he has so much strength that he's showing with his expression. That I felt that he was
great images.
Now we have the Moon card, which was taken in the UK. And this was that weekend I was talking about where I learned about tarot. And this was one of the rituals they did in the evening. And they came together, they connected to Mother Earth, they connected to the moon, and had a very magical night. So I chose that for the Moon card.
Beautiful.
Do
will the deck be shipped from Belgium? Do you have a Belgium printer, or is it being shipped from someplace else?
I have a Belgian printer, but because so many people order from the US, the Belgian printer is actually going to send it all to
distribution.
And I have a fulfillment service in the US where they are going to send it directly in the US.
Great. Yeah, I know that helps. It's hard sometimes when it's from a different country, especially nowadays with, you know, COVID.
Yeah, there's a question.
Who knows? What has been the most moving place you visited and photographed?
It's hard to choose one, but I can say one place where I have always returned is Haiti, because it just captured me, it fascinated me, and it taught me so much. Because there are some places where you go and it's really beautiful, and you return home and you had a really beautiful experience. But when I came back from Haiti, I always came back with so many questions because it was so intriguing. And because I got so many questions when I was there, it taught me so much. And the people I've met there taught me so much. And it's so diverse and it's so complex, and it has so many it has extremes. It's like there is no middle way in Haiti. It's like there's almost not even a middle class in Haiti. You're either poor or you're rich, and the middle class is tiny. And it just fascinated me, this country. And so I have returned to Haiti over and over and over again. Now I haven't been in several years, but for 8 years I have traveled there every year several times, and I've even lived there. So it's definitely the country where I have learned the most. And another country that calls me all the time is India. And I always end up there without even planning to go, because with Haiti, I always was I took the action and I would go. But with India, I get assignments. So somebody sends me there to go, or then my ex-boyfriend's best friend got married to an Indian woman in India. So we went because of that. So I have been to India 4 times, and India is also such a huge country. So if you go to a different place in India, it's a completely different world. And I think Indians are very kind people, very welcoming. I mean, I've heard many people say that as single women travelers, they had problems in India with Indian men. I never had that, but I can't speak. I can only speak.
I have heard stories of that too, but I also heard the opposite, that people are beautiful, and that, you know, depending on where you go and stuff, obviously you have to be smart, but yeah, that's great. Yeah, so Des wanted to know if the people buying from Europe, if the decks will be shipped to them from Belgium.
And they're actually going to be shipped from Germany, because I live right next to the German border, and the Germans have a better postal system and than the Belgians, and it's also cheaper, because if I would send anything from Belgium, it would cost 3 times the price than what the Germans charge. So it will be from Germany.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's an interesting question, Danny. So he wants to know, when you take photos for your decks, do you have to let the individual know that you'll be using it for a deck? Do they have to like sign off or something?
It depends on like the legalities for each country that the photo is taken in. So for some countries, yes, and for some countries, no. And then, no, I also, this is only when you can recognize the person. If you cannot recognize the face, like, no, this card, for example, is just a silhouette. You don't need to have authorization, or here you can't recognize the people, you don't need an authorization. But yeah, like this photo, for example, the hermit, I need an authorization. So for some of the cards I do have authorizations, and for others, yeah, I don't need it.
Cool. Let's see, where am I here? Hold on, let me pull out my questions. I haven't really used my questions. I've had a bunch of my own off the top of my head. What have you learned about the process of designing and producing a deck that you didn't know before, and you would want people to know, either that it's difficult because of, or that it's, you know, inspiring because of, or?
I think it's very, like, I love it. That's why I'm doing it again now. So at the beginning, in the last campaign, it was, yeah, like, there was a lot of work involved, finding out like who is the print, like where to print, how to ship, how to do it. But now that I've done it once, it's actually not so difficult. The first time, yeah, if you want to publish your own deck, you have to find out lots of things, and that can be a bit difficult. But for me, it was actually, it was like it was meant to, like, I was meant to do this tarot deck, so all the information just came to me. I didn't really have to look hard for them, so it was very much in the flow. So it was actually a really nice process.
Beautiful.
The only thing that I really learned is that you have to be very careful. I needed to slow down a little bit. Like the Getter Tarot, for example, the little booklet has a few spelling mistakes, which I would like the next version, we're going to reprint it now, will not have any spelling mistakes anymore. So to slow down in that process, because sometimes I'm a little bit too fast. I did have it. I did have the spelling checked, but I should have it checked by somebody else as well.
Interesting. Do you have like a stalker card personally, a tarot card that always comes up for you personally?
Do I have what, a card that comes up often?
Yeah, we call them stalker cards. Like, you know, some people just get the 5 of Cups all the time, or so, you know.
And for me, it is, it comes in periods. It's not one card that comes all the time. It is maybe during a period of 1 or 2 or 3 months, one card comes very often. And yeah, but at the moment, I don't have one.
Do you have a favorite card in this deck?
Oh, that's a good question. I have not thought about that yet. I have several favorite cards. Let me see. I already showed you one of my favorite cards, where I also said it's one of my favorite cards, which is the Sun. I also really love this card, which is three of water, and I just love the happiness and joy and the daily life celebration of these two boys of a completely mundane moment. It was beautiful when I took the photo, and it's one of my favorite photos. And then, of course, I really love the Empress card as well. I love the light in the photo. I love the connection between the women looking at each other. I love the different ages of the women in the photo. Yeah. Here's another one that I love as a photo is the Sun of Earth. And this was taken in rural India, and this was a place that was so rural that like they had rarely seen a foreigner. So it was really beautiful for me to be there, because they were all so fascinated with a foreigner being in their village that the whole village followed me around. And they would just be like
fan club.
behind me would like move along, and that was a very special trip in India.
Oh, beautiful. Well, today asked us, so if you live in the UK, it will be sent from Belgium. It'll be sent from Germany, she said, because she lived right on the border. And Yaz asked, if you could give your younger self advice, knowing where you are now, what would you say?
How young? Which age?
Question, right?
I'm 33 now, so I need to know which age.
How far back? I like young teenage. I would say that's a good place to start.
Young teenage, so like 14, 13, 14.
Yeah.
Oy, oy, oy. Well, I think the best advice I could give my teenage self is to stay true to myself and to like find friends that really see you. Yeah, I had a lot of friends, but many of them didn't see me, and I felt very lonely at the time. And my parents had like a very dysfunctional relationship between them and with us, so there was huge loneliness there.
That's some good advice. So there's so many decks out there now. What do you think sets this deck apart? If someone were saying, well, I have a couple different decks I'm thinking about, what would you tell them about this deck to change their mind or to get them to come to your deck?
Well, I actually connected to the deck, the spirit of the deck, to ask the deck, what are your strengths and why did you come to me, like to create? And the deck answered that it was really good for people, and that's why it was created in 2020, to reveal hidden talents and gifts that help us in difficult situations. It will help you, and it was created in a moment where my life was completely chaotic because I had to cancel all the retreats, which brought a huge financial loss. So I actually had to move country because I couldn't pay my rent anymore. I was living, I had to move to somewhere cheaper. But I really just accepted that, and I felt like that was the universe guiding me, that I was not meant to be where I was, because if I was, something would show up that I could finance my rent there. So I'm actually very happy with the decision to move. I feel very stable where I am now and very, very good. And so because it was created in a moment where I was completely in flow and in complete trust with the universe. That's the energy that the deck has. It can help you if you are not in complete flow, if you are in a moment where you can't trust the universe. It can help you and answer your question to bring you back into the flow. And it is really good if your life turns upside down and, for example, you lose your job and you're like, oh my God, this is horrible that this happened to me. Actually, and then if something like that happens and then 5 years later you look back, you're like, oh, this was actually really good that this happened.
I'm so glad that did. Yep.
Yeah. But the deck is there to tell you already in the moment why this is good. Now, you don't have to wait 5 years. You can ask the questions right there. And you can also ask the questions like, how do I get back into the flow? Like, how do I find my path if you feel like you have come off the path? And by doing all of that, it was also really good to help finding your life purpose. And I do not mean, when we hear life purpose, very often we think, a career or your passion, which is all part of your purpose. But a purpose doesn't necessarily mean that it's your passion. You can be on this earth with a real purpose without having this purpose be your passion.
I love that.
So it's...
Say it again. We could be on this earth. Say it again. It's so important.
Yeah, it's just like, for example, the person that is born into a family and it's the scapegoat of the family. Yeah, it's not going to be your passion. No, right. But it's your purpose to be there and to change the patterns of your family, and you are the one who's going to show all the shit that your family and all the dysfunctions, all the patterns that are unhealthy. You have to reveal that, and that might be your purpose, and that doesn't necessarily feel good. But if you know that this is your purpose, then you can go at it with a lot more ease and with a lot more awareness, and you can actually start using that gift and for yourself and for others, without having to try to judge it, because sometimes we judge things if they're difficult. But if we know why we were born into this world, then it becomes easier to follow the path. So that is what the deck is good at.
Absolutely. Such a good point. Admins, help me remember that later so I can write it down. I totally and absolutely agree. And I think that no other year like this year has put a point on that like this year has. And we've been talking about on my channel how it's been a tough year. For a lot of people, it's been a tough year. And I do feel like it's a Tower card kind of year. But the good thing about the Tower card is that in that rubble, when everything has fallen down, you finally get to see something in the distance that you wouldn't have been able to see before. Mm-hmm. And I think so many people are turning to nature-based spirituality, to the connections of the universe, to Mother Earth, to get their spirituality now where they weren't before. And I think that is in part due to the fact that we've had to change our priorities this year. That this year it's really been about, okay, what's really important? Yeah. What do we really think is, enough to survive for when everybody is shut in, when all, the scary disease is going around, when all that stuff is happening and people are losing their jobs. And I think that's a big deal that is going on around the world right now. And I think that's a great way to put it, that, your purpose may not be something that you're really excited about doing. So good.
I do think that your purpose at some point, if you really become aware that that's your purpose, you can actually use it, and then you might turn it into something that feels better, and you might even find excitement in it. Then So,
absolutely. Yes. Mikey asked, if this isn't too personal of a question, just wondering if you have incorporated any elements of the religious spirituality kind of practices that you've experienced or brought into your personal practice.
Not from the religions abroad, no.
So any, like you were talking before about the voodoo and Haitian practices and stuff, have you used any of that in your own personal practice?
Well, I do like Indegogo tarot, for example, which was taken in Haiti. The energy of the Haitians and their spirituality comes through in the cards. So it's like hard to say no, because there is an element of it there, and I can use this energy to read, but I did not pick up on spiritual practices abroad to, like, in Haiti, in voodoo, there's a lot of animal sacrifice, and I'm mostly vegan, so that's something I would not do.
Right. Yep. And Kay wanted to know, which came first, your desire to travel or your love of photography?
It's a very good question. Thank you. It's very interesting, because I've never asked myself that question. I think my desire to travel, because when I was 18, I didn't know what to do with my life. And I was like, I'm going to go abroad to study English. And I chose New Zealand, which was the furthest place you could fly to from Belgium. And I went there for 6 months. But I had my camera with me, and I really love to take photos there too. But I was not considering yet to do it professionally. And as a teenager, I also had a camera, and I would love to take photos of my friends. We would do like model and portrait photos and stuff like that. So it kind of came at the same time.
One kind of fed the other.
And if you know about, like many of you will probably know about astrology as well. I have a Sagittarius rising, so I was born with a desire to travel, and I have also have a Sagittarius stellium in my chart. So that might have come first, but I was not really aware of it yet,
Right. So the different tiers, I haven't had a chance to really look at the campaign very much, so I apologize, but the different tiers in the campaign, you have a couple tiers I did notice before you get the deck, like just kind of a donation thing, plant a tree tier. And then the deck tier, which the deck will come with the deck and the booklet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have an early bird. There's still some available for anybody who still wants to get an early bird. It's I don't know how much percent it is cheaper. I think 30% cheaper than what it's going to cost once it's published. And then we have a collector's edition. We actually have two different collector's editions. One is just the limited collector's edition that comes with a pouch bag that is also a limited edition pouch bag and an author cloth. And then we have the jewel collector edition, which comes in a wooden engraved box, and it comes with fine art photography print, which is also limited and signed. And it also comes with the major arcana printed as real Polaroid photos and labeled with my handwriting. So we have that, and then you can have a reading. You can either have like just a 3-card reading on like any question that you have, but this is a reading that is going to send to you by mail, or you can have a personal life purpose reading with me, where I will I will use the cards to do a life purpose reading, but I will also like use my skills as a therapist to guide you in case you have questions on like how to move forward.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then I think that's it. Yeah.
Great. Yay. And so 55 days the campaign is on. So 54 now, but yay. So you guys have plenty of time, but I would get in there early for the early bird. It's the first day at least, and then the 30 hours or something like that is the early bird.
It's not hours. It's there's
The amount of death, right?
It's how like it's the amount we have. We had super early birds, which were like really cheap, but they were gone in an hour, and we had like 33 of them. And now we have the early bird, which is still 30% off, and we have 111 of those. And I think about 30 are gone, so we have like 70, 80 more. But yeah, there are a few decks being bought every hour, so I expect it to be gone in the next few days.
Yay. So future, do you have future projects that you're working on yet, or ideas for future projects? Or are you still kind of, manifesting this one?
Well, I actually had an idea for another tarot deck, which I was going to do this fall, but because there are travel restrictions, I can't do it. So first I will finish this deck. We're going to reprint the Ghetto Tarot, and we're going to change the name of it for the second edition. And then next year, once we can fly again, I'm going to fly to India to do another deck, but I won't say what it is yet.
All right. Well, keep us in mind when you're ready for that one. Yay. So you're going to reprint the Ghetto Tarot, though, this year, or, well, we're almost at the end. So 2021 then?
Well, if the printer is fast enough, it will be ready at the end of December. And
nice.
Otherwise, it will be January.
Great. All right. Well, I think that's all I have. I thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
No, I think
just make sure the in the comments section down below there is the link. Make sure you guys go and support this. I just can't tell you how gorgeous these images are. I did post some of the images just in our private group to show people and show people where you were going direction wise, but the rest of those images are on the campaign. You can go there to take a look at them and definitely support this project. I can't wait. It's gonna be beautiful.
And to say one more thing to ask, like why people should buy this deck is also because it's for a good cause. So you're not only buying a deck for yourself, but you're also supporting like a regenerative project for Mother Earth. So I think that should be a good reason to.
So important. That's right, especially now. All right. Well, guys, we'll see you soon, and I will probably be, let's see, this is Sunday. I will probably be back on tomorrow because I have a couple of business kind of stuff to do with you all tomorrow, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.